So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we have Fredrik Saroea, and he's from the band Datarock, and they're a band that it's very danceable electronic music with some rock. When I was listening to it, I thought of bands like Depeche Mode, The Chemical Brothers, Devo, just to name a few. So first of all, Frederick, how are you today?
You know what? That's a good question because the answer is not what you wanted, and it's going to be a long one. I have this really weird situation where I'm absolutely never sick. My wife and kids, they got COVID like 5 times. I didn't even get that. I haven't been in bed since the 80s. But for the first time in forever, I actually have a fever and a cold. So I'm okay. But we're doing this interview with me on a very rare occasion being sick.
Well, I couldn't tell that you don't look sick at all. So so maybe
Well,
that's
I'm
a
not
good
I'm
thing.
not particular I'm not particularly sick, but I don't want to be sick because this weekend I'm going to Oslo to a music conference that I guess you've been to called Bylarm. And have you been to that
No, I haven't
Bylarm?
been to that festival. No, I've been to other
Oh,
festivals, but not over there. I
oh,
was
okay,
in
okay, okay.
a few years ago in 2016 in Oslo, and I did go to an Infernos music festival.
Come again, you went to Inferno.
Infernos Music Festival in Oslo
Oh
in
Lord, okay, cool.
2016. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so okay, so it's not that going on right now. You have a similar festival in Bergen called Beyond the Gates. So next time you have to come to that. But yeah, and then we're playing a show this weekend. So hopefully the cold is gone and the fever is non-existent by the weekend.
Oh, yeah, hopefully. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I listened to the album, and it's a pretty interesting album. And so I was reading that this album was inspired by COVID, but also by a tragedy that happened in 2011. Uh, in so
Yeah.
what was that? Yeah, because it was interesting that out of tragedy comes an album that it's more cheerful and celebrating life. So can you talk a little bit about the inspiration for this album?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't exactly say that the tragedy was an inspiration, but it's part of the process. I guess I don't know how else to put it. This is something that our PR agency wrote into the presentation, I'm sure, after a long conversation with me. Um, and and the fact of the matter is that I mean, if you know Datarock, you probably know Datarock from either a pretty entertaining TV series or one of the 20 video games we've been part of, because we've been in like 4 FIFA games, and we've
Yeah.
been in Need for Speed, Madden NFL, Sims, all sorts of video games that is all fun, or fun festivals like Lollapalooza or Coachella or punk shows or whatever. So Datarock used to be kind of the our our approach to music was we wanted to be the fun show for all the nerds who didn't have much fun at parties. Like we were the fun alternative nerd party. I don't know how to put it. So Datarock was our Prozac, so to speak. And what you're referring to is the fact that this Prozac project, we ended up playing at Utøya the day before the terrorist attack that killed 69 children. And those kids were our audience the day before, you know.
Wow.
So we weren't present, but we know for a fact that he was supposed to come out actually the day before. So we would have been there if he came the day he planned to come there. Uh, and because we were there at the end of the day before, I mean, we were very much pulled into the whole event, right? Just watching, because we could really imagine, and we knew those kids. And then, luckily it was 495 kids surviving the attack, uh, which is also, that's 495 traumatized kids, right? Or young
Yeah,
people.
for
So
sure.
So in the ways we've been able to, we've been sort of part of the history after that. We meet survivors all around Norway, and we've participated in tribute concerts or concerts in memory for the lost, and just being part of like the most terrible tragedy in Norwegian history, pretty much. That's it's very hard to continue being that fun band after that, you know, obviously. So I think it's safe to say that the reason why we sort of gradually shut down Datarock the years after that is, well, one of many reasons, I guess, is that it just felt so wrong, man, to go on stage in the same red tracksuits and put on basically the same show. And we've been told over and over again that we shouldn't react like that. That would be absolutely the opposite of what all the survivors and well, families of the ones who were killed would want. They don't want that individual to affect anything, right? But it's just it became very hard to go on stage, and then you know you might be on stage and you go, hey, how you doing? Yeah, it's party time. And then you see four guys and you can see that they're sort of remembering everyone they lost in 2011, you know what I mean? So, and I think more than affect the content of the new album, I think that very much affected the last album we did, which was called Face the Brutality, you know. And that even had songs like Laugh in the Face of Darkness, and I think in pretty much every single song of that album, Face the Brutality, at least once I sing everything's gonna be all right, right? So,
Yeah.
but it's more. So what you're saying is pretty. I think perhaps it's almost like a little bit of a wrong interpretation from our press agency, because it almost feels like for the first time in a long time, we're back to the kind of the innocence that we had before this. You see what I
Okay.
mean? Because when COVID struck, what happened was that we were still sort of stepping in the same footsteps as for a long, long time, right? We put on the red tracksuit, we go on stage, and we'll go, yeah, let's have a punk show. But then with COVID, all of that stopped, and we sort of had to reimagine ourselves, you know? And coincidentally, when COVID shut everything down, March 13, 2020, that week was the 15-year anniversary of our debut album, right?
Wow.
So we released our debut album exactly 15 years before, and March 2020 was supposed to be the start of our 15-year anniversary of that album, right? So leading up to the COVID shutdowns, we'd been spending a lot of time in the rehearsal space for the first time in years to relearn all those songs from 2005. So what happened was we ended up in the same kind of mind frame as we were when we made the very first album. And we remembered kind of the odd creativity back then. And that kind of odd creativity is based on the fact that we didn't have a career. We didn't know that anything was going to happen to that album. We just made a super weird album that we kind of made for ourselves and our group of friends, you know? And nobody could anticipate anything to happen to that weird album in 2005. I mean, we didn't have distribution, we didn't have a management, we didn't have nothing. And then it took us by such a big surprise that the debut album ended up being listed on the best albums of the year in New Musical Express in England. It ended up being among the best songs of the year in Rolling Stone magazine. It's totally absurd shit. Like, we ended up touring with James Brown. We played like,
Wow.
we played like Jimmy Kimmel twice. We played, all the festivals on the planet that we've ever heard about. We ended up touring the US 22 times, Japan over and over again, 8 national tours in Australia. Well, we ended up playing 1,000 shows in 36 countries, right? we even had, listen to this, we even ended up okaying advertisement. So we have music in advertisement for Apple, Google, Microsoft, Samsung, and Coca-Cola.
It was
And
it was good for you guys, yeah.
yeah, well, it was all pretty absurd because we were just this slacker group of friends who didn't really give a fuck about anything, and we didn't start a band because we were like going to be pop stars or anything. We were like 25 and, well, just having fun. But then as soon as things started to happen, it becomes professionalized, you know?
Yeah,
And
of course.
yeah, and you start getting like, I mean, even amongst music record company executives and management people and business management and booking agents and la la la. There's a lot of super cool people, and you befriend these guys, you start hanging out. But people who become like professionals in the music industry, they also have an understanding of what works and what doesn't work commercially, right? Even within like all kinds of genres, they know that, well, this doesn't really work in punk right now, or this doesn't really work in drum and bass right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, of course they
By the way,
want
it's not
their
beer. It's
they
kombucha. It's not beer.
oh, that's okay. I'm sure they want their money back.
Yes,
The
exactly. And unless you're a complete psychopath, you want to make people around you happy, and also you want to be able to pay the bills, right?
yes.
But what was so good for us with COVID lockdown was that the industry just stopped. There was nothing to take into consideration. There was no one to listen to, and nobody wanted to talk to you. You know what I mean? So when everything shut down, we kind of became those, you know, those.
25-year-olds again.
Yeah, exactly. So we became those guys that we were when we were young, and now we knew we remembered how we made those songs, and we remembered that Devo was the main reason. Devo was a super important inspiration for Datarock, right? And Devo isn't exactly mega mainstream streaming
No,
friendly pop
they're
music.
not. No.
No. And in the process, we befriended them. So when I went to Los Angeles to mix some of the songs, I was actually staying in Jerry Casale's house in Santa Monica, like the Devo bass player.
Nice.
So yeah, so we kind of remembered, okay, goddamn, the music that we really loved is like all those oddities. Like for instance, on the song Disobedience, the way I play the guitar is me kind of trying to emulate the way Arthur Linso in DNA plays no wave guitar, and on a song like Rabbit Hole in the,
Which
I don't
has a
know how
great
far
music
into.
video, by the way.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We actually have another one which is coming soon, so it's 2 videos for that one. We
Yeah, I saw
actually
the
have two
one where there's like the
videos.
Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean the song is really about rabbit holes online rabbit holes. But then, I mean, rabbit hole comes from Alice in Wonderland. So, but yeah, so the guitar riff in that song is straight out of Lose Fit by Happy Mondays, you know, and the beat of that song is really me just trying to reproduce, like, step on that beat by Happy. It said, "Oh, the recording stopped and it's back in
Yes,
progress."
because yes, it's back
Okay,
on.
okay. Yeah, no, so that's kind of what happened. I'd say rather on contrary of the fact that we have been um, very much affected by that tragedy, this album came about, which was like, yeah, kind of a surprise that we could become that fun band again, kind of. But it's not only fun. I mean, the album is also pretty serious, I'd say. Parts of the lyrics are, parts of the content is, but it's all packaged into just a party album.
Yeah, I'm gonna show the artwork for the album. Here it is for Media Consumption Pyramid. So this is the artwork. So what can you tell me about the artwork for this?
Yeah, this is really a painting by a British so-called pre-Raphaelite Uh, um, I think it's painted in 1812 or something like that. I'm not sure, but it's obviously been digitally remastered, so to speak. But it's all about the person in the middle there is Icarus, right? So I don't know if everybody knows the Icarus myth.
Mm.
Well, Daedalus is his father. He's standing next to him, right? And they've been trapped on an island, and Icarus wants to escape, and he's big-headed, so he makes his own wings, and he covers them with feather that he connects to his homemade wings with wax. And then Icarus is very wary, and he says, "You can't really fly with these shit wings." But his son doesn't listen to him, so he flies on, and he's so happy with his wings that he flies too close to the sun. The
Yeah.
wax melts and he falls down and dies, right? So it's kind of depressing image, really, but it's a very beautiful image still. So I mean, even on the last album, Face the Brutality, we actually sing about this same tragedy, where I sing, just like Icarus, Daedalus, you gotta father your own failures, wax them feathers. Tonight we're on the run. So I sort of support doing that, but it might be so that humanity right now is Icarus, and perhaps those wings are artificial intelligence, and perhaps we're flying a little bit too close to the sun right now. Who knows?
Okay, yeah. Plus, I like
Yeah.
the album title, Media Consumption Pyramid. How did you came up with the title for the album?
Yeah, I mean, during COVID, I think I did like what everybody else did, uh, consume a lot of media.
Too
So it
much.
was like, yeah, like regardless, like who you talked, like everybody saw the same films and TV shows, or played the same video games, or read exactly the same articles or podcasts or whatever. And I just remember this term, nutrition pyramid. The
Oh
nutrition
yeah.
pyramid is the standard thing, And then I remember I came across this whatever illustration about media consumption pyramid based on nutrition pyramid, right? And what is really a healthy media consumption pyramid? I do think a lot of people get their news from, severely unserious channels like TikTok, or closed off chat rooms or stupid forums or whatever. And I don't know. I've never read any survey, but I'm assuming less and less of media consumption is through quality controlled, you know, uh, source checked sources like New York Times and stuff like that. So, but anyways, it's not only about the political information or science or whatever. It's just we have become such a media consuming species. It's kind of absurd. And I, like, in protest, kind of, I've started working in the mountains. Like, I walk in the mountains 3 times a week right now because I'm so glued to this unit that I'm holding in my hands right now.
I think that's a good and healthy way to just disconnect.
I totally agree. But it took me some time to actually leave the phone off when I'm walking in the mountains, because I was listening to podcasts or music or whatever when I was in the mountain, or even talking on the phone or writing messages and shit. I think when you're walking in the mountains or just walking wherever, I think you should put your phone on flight mode and just put it away. No, so
I think
anyways,
that's
it
a
just
good idea.
occurred to me that we're so, and it's so homogenized. I remember when we were young, we were film nerds. Like I thought me and all of my friends were gonna end up working one way or another with the movies because we were so into films, and we saw films that nobody saw. Like we saw El Mariachi before anybody heard about Roberto Rodriguez. We would see like Wim Wenders films, and we would see old school art movies from, I don't know, the 60s and 50s, and we loved Francois Truffaut and shit like that. We saw everything by, of course, Woody Allen or whatever, right? But most of that stuff you can't even find on streaming services, right? So now everybody's consuming, but everybody's consuming the same. It's kind of weird how everything has been so available, but at the same time not, and so homogenized and so sheep herd kind of consumption wise, you know. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
there's some really bad movies streaming.
yeah, and another thing is also like, I mean, even when we were kids, we had like really shit sound systems and bad headphones and stuff. But then we knew it was bad, so sometimes we would listen to music on a nice sound system with some friends who had a nice sound system. Now everybody's listening to so, bad sound quality, and they have like headphones that is completely fake sound. And a lot of the music that you listen to has been uploaded to streaming services based on some terrible master. So it doesn't sound like at all what it should be. Whereas if you listen to a jazz record on your dad's old sound system, it's like all the music is there, you know? Now people are listening to this terrible MP3 quality and terrible, mono speakers. They're not even aware of the fact that music is usually produced stereo, you know. So I don't know. It's something about everybody's consuming so much, but it's scary. It's scary how homogenized the sources of both entertainment and information has become. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and inspiration, and I don't know. When we were young, media had such how to put it, such not even only media, also music festivals and stuff like that had such a uh, I don't know the English word how to say it, but you listen to the radio and music that you don't even know what is comes up, and then they tell the backstory, and then you get to know that, oh, this person used to play in this band, and then they were discovered by this or that producer, and then blah 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 blah, and then you learn something new. That you listen to the radio, you watch even MTV, something like Alternative Nation or Headbangers Ball or whatever, and you learn something new.
120 minutes.
Yeah, 120 minutes was amazing, and you're like, oh, there's a new exciting scene in Manchester. Oh, they have cool artwork, and then you check that out in depth, and then you figure out, oh, it's not only Stone Roses and Happy Mondays, it's also Charlatans and Ride and la la la. But now it seems like it's so easy to get enough that you don't necessarily dig deep, you know. Same thing with festivals. It used to be so that you went to a festival and then you knew some of the bands, but you didn't know the others. And the guys who ran the festivals, they were cool enough to say, but we love this new band and we want people to hear them. Now you look at a festival program, it's like, yeah, they stream a lot on streaming services, and they also stream a lot. Everything is just bands that are already popular on streaming services or various media forms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's some homogeneous, and I don't know.
No,
It's
and
become
I agree what you're saying. Like, for example, back in the day, when an album was going to be released, it was like an event. Like
yeah,
and now
yeah.
it's like it's not like before. There wasn't a band. You had to get the album. They brought you had the lyrics, and there was like a line to get
Yeah,
the
and the
album when it came out.
design and yeah, everything around it. Everything around it. Yeah, no, it isn't. And also, like if you listen to a radio channel like BBC Six, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll play exciting new artists, but they'll play it next to something that might be 40 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 2 years old. That's interesting. But then you have to go to something like BBC Radio 6, you know? So I
Okay.
don't know. So I don't want I hope I don't sound like I'm not old enough to be a boomer, but I hope I don't sound like a boomer. And I just I don't know.
No,
That
I
was
think
just
we're
what drove
Generation
me.
X.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that shit was on our mind, and also we found it. I mean, we were the first generation to have personal computers, right? We had
Yeah.
we had Commodore 64 and Amiga 500, but even before that, people had like VIC 20 and Sharp MZ 700. And then, I mean, we had some friends who had like a Macintosh in '84, la la la. And that was a whole subculture, like people who were good at programming or were into video games. That was a subculture back in the days, but now it isn't. And it was kind of scary to see how powerful and easy it was to kind of um, exploit the media consumption nature of at least the Western world, right? Especially when you saw something like the presidential election in the US. Oh my God. And then Brexit over here, right? So,
Yeah.
and then it all goes into each other. It's all very similar. People are exposed to the same kind of targeted marketing politically as they are to cultural content or any kind of scientific or political news or artistic news, and it's like, oh shit, this is very interesting. But I mean, we don't have like a very strict opinion. It's more, it was natural to sort of debate it. And same thing with AI. It's not as if we're like, yoo-hoo, AI is amazing. It's just we wanted to somehow deal with it on this album. And
Yeah.
it's absolutely,
And your music videos are very like there's a lot of animation. You told me,
yeah.
I think of line that you create the music videos with some AI. Tell me about your process about doing these music videos.
Yeah, I mean, all the illustrations for Datarock, I've I've used to make them myself, right?
Okay.
As the simple way to do it ourselves. But then when all this AI stuff came about, we were like, okay, this is very interesting. It's going to be very problematic. So many people are going to lose their work, right? Illustrators, graphic designers, uh, I mean, writers, script writers, journalists, video directors. Imagine just something like makeup artist. You press a button and the face is already makeup via IA. So I mean, set designers, lighting engineers, costume designers, like so many people are going to lose their job for so many assignments, right? You could always argue that hopefully there is something more productive they can do than partake in making a stupid advertisement or whatever. But well, that's not up to you to decide. It's a sad thing that these people will lose their jobs, right? And for us, it was like, okay, the only person who isn't going to get an assignment right now is myself. So we didn't take work away from anyone, right? And also, we kind of questioned the whole AI animation kind of specifically by pushing the boundaries to what we thought was okay ourselves, because the style of the animation in for instance, heart-shaped circle is very specifically inspired by my favorite illustrator and cartoon creator, which is called Möbius, or his name is Jean Girard, who has passed away right now. But it's like, okay, so the guy has passed away, is my favorite artist, and AI just replicated his entire signature. Is that okay? It's like it. I don't know. I don't know if that's okay, man. That's questionable, right? Same thing
Indeed,
with
yeah.
this. Yeah, and same thing with disobedience. Very specifically, if you look closely to not the opening sequence and the end sequence, but most of the disobedience video, you can see very clearly that it's Crump. It's his signature style illustration, right? So we basically took a specific person's uh, artistic signature and replicated it into millions and millions of illustrations. That's not necessarily entirely cool, it isn't. Like someone, if they want to, they could do the same to us. They could make music that pretty much sounds like us.
Sure.
They
They
could even
did
have a
that
voice.
with Nirvana. I think there's Drake.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, I
yeah.
listened to that AI Nirvana. I'm sorry, it's not Nirvana.
No, it rarely is. But I mean, but they could have done that to us and put it in a TV show or whatever. and it would be totally almost like Datarock, right? But then you know, then you have fun shit like, oh, what's his name, the guitar player of the Eagles. Well, anyways, he said he's not afraid of AI taking over music until AI can break a hotel room and throw a TV out the window. It's kind of has a point, you know. But anyways, no. So working with AI is just, I mean, using it for the music videos and not only that, you know, we did something else. Mm. We programmed an AI for ourselves who we wanted him to act like he was like an influencer kind of person who scanned the web for interesting news, and then they actually write a comment to this international news, and it automizes illustrations for that news. So we even made like a you remember in Space Oddity there is a not, what am I saying, 2001 Space Odyssey. The computer, the AI computer is called HAL 3000, right? So we kind of made our own HAL 3000, and we called it "You Can Call Me HAL." Anyways, and that scrapes the web for interesting news, and it writes a comment in the voice, and a voice that sounds like a Datarock kind of voice. And it couldn't, yeah, and it by the way, it's really funny because it couldn't find exactly what our tone of voice was, so we made it actually steal some of the tone of voice from Trevor Noah. Right, so that's how specific AI is. You have to prompt it very specifically, and one of the things we did was to prompt it to speak kind of like Trevor Noah. It's so crazy, and it's not cool. Poor Trevor Noah. Would he be happy knowing that our stupid AI has his voice? You know?
Well, I wouldn't know either. Yeah.
No, and the same thing with the new video we're releasing from Metaverse, which is the lead track for the album. We have 1,500 famous characters from cartoons, video games, anime, well, pop culture, and they're very easily. It's easy to see that it's them, but it's 25 characters per second in the video. Everything is high resolution, so you can actually in our video you have.
Didn't you have to get like a copyright of every character?
Yeah, no. Well, we should. We probably should, but we're kind of testing what is okay to do right now. We don't know.
Okay.
so it's almost like the whole thing is almost just like an experiment, you know. I don't know. It's probably not legal, no. But hey,
yeah.
But it's art.
Yeah, well, I hope hopefully after this interview comes out, you won't write to me like, "Hey, they sued me."
Yeah. But I don't know exactly how you would sue something like that, because I mean it doesn't generate a profit. It's more a tribute and homage than it's exploiting them. And it's like, okay, motherfucker, you're there for 1/25th of a second. That's how long you see your face. So you were there for 1/25th of a second, and you're gonna sue us? Well, yeah, that's childish, I'd say.
Yeah. So the sound of the album, yeah, it's very danceable. How would you describe the sound of this album to people that haven't heard it?
Yeah, no, but it is. I think, to be honest, I think one of the inspirations behind the album was we were so happy when. Do you remember when the Chemical Brothers released No Geography?
Yeah, I remember the Chemical Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, because that album No Geography was, we thought it was just amazing. Really loved it, and we loved a lot of music from the kind of the scenes that we were part of back in the days. And it had been some years since there was a new electronic album was so close to rock music, kind of, that well, I mean, No Geography was voted the best electronic album. Well, it got a Grammy for the best electronic album, right?
Yeah.
And
I
the
used to
voice
love
for that
the Prodigy because they mix a lot of like electronics with rock.
yeah, yeah. But but it's been a long time since the Prodigy, right?
Yeah.
But No Geography got the Grammy for best electronic album early 2020, because I think it was released in 2021. And that was like, oh, so that's okay. So you can do that, and people still listen to it. And funnily enough, the voice of that album was provided by a friend of ours from this town that I'm in.
Okay.
So the voice of that album was provided by Aurora from Bergen, right? So and also our co-manager called Mikael Tella, who had the label Tele Records that released Breaks Up, Annie, my solo stuff, Datarock, Kings of Convenience, and tons of electronic alternative bands in the late 90s and early 2000s. He was like, Datarock needs to do an electronic album. We need electronic dance beats. We need music for dancing. That's what we need, because it was Corona and all of that. And at the time, we realized that some of the music that I was making wasn't for Datarock. It was for a solo album. So
Okay.
all the music that I made, that was very like guitar driven, that became a solo album under my name, Fredrik Saroea, and the name of the album was Rona Diaries, like in Corona Diaries,
Oh, I see
right?
what you did there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Funnily enough, someone told me that Rona means tears in Urdu. That makes sense. But then because I did a very guitar driven electroacoustic album, then I thought, okay, then it's totally fine for me to do, or for Datarock to do more of a collective collaborative album, which is very electronic centered, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I think because all of us really like alternative electronic music, and I think we were kind of saddened by the fact that so much terrible EDM had sort of ended up dominating what people perceive as being electronic music, because EDM isn't really part of that alternative electronic music scene in my book. So, well, I mean, commercial EDM. So anyway, so we just decided that we need to celebrate life a little, and we need to make an album that is celebrating that wonderful alternative culture where people do get together and leave sweaty and inspired. And I mean, I love the fact that there's music you can cry to, but I don't think that's our work. Our job is to energize people.
Yeah. So the album is coming out September the 29th. So are you gonna have it? What are you gonna have it on CD, vinyl? What physical formats will be available?
Yeah, you can actually pre-order it now. It's on vinyl, like regular vinyl, but also red vinyl, obviously. And you can order it on CD. But the best part of it is you can order it on cassette.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing now that people ordering a lot of music like cassette, like collecting cassettes again.
Yeah, I know. No, I love it, and I really really like the sound of. I mean, this album, by the way, it sounds amazing. Same
Oh,
thing
I
with our
listened to it.
previous album. Yeah, it sounds so good. I mean, not take the music out of the equation, just the quality of the sound. It sounds really well, because Chemical Brothers producer has mixed 8 of the songs, and Mark Rankin, who has produced everything for Adele and Queens of the Stone Age, Weezer, and all of these major artists. He mixed 2 of them, and then a drum and bass artist called TB mixed 1, and then, I mean, my favorite mastering engineer on the planet called Mike Marsh in England, he mastered it. So it sounds really amazing. Both the previous album, Face of Brutality, and this one. But anyways, but listening to high quality music on cassette, high quality sound on cassette, is just, I love it. it has such a special quality to it. That tape, the sound of the tape. So it's not just something we do for fun. It's because we really like that sound.
Yeah. No, that's good that you're promoting that sound as well. So, Fredrik, I'll put the link for people who pre-order the album so they can get it before the 29th. And I'll put some of the links for any of the music videos so people can watch
Yeah,
them. Yeah, because
please do.
there's some cool looking music videos. So once the record is out, are you gonna do
Yeah.
some tours, some festivals?
I mean, as I said, we kind of ended up making this album just for ourselves in the studio, and we release everything on our own label. So this is pretty far from a mega professional enterprise. This is like old men having fun. Like this is our alternative. I don't know. Instead of going to football matches or fixing the car in the garage, which I don't have, by the way, uh, we now have a band. So it's not particularly well planned out, I have to say. But what we have agreed is, because I mean we have played 1,000 shows in 36 countries, and if we wanted to tour, I'm sure we could at least play a few shows.
Yeah.
So if the album is well received, we already said like, oh shit, if people like this stuff, which is made kind of on our own premises for us, like we would be very comfortable touring this material. Then we decided like if people want this, we want to play as much as possible. So yeah, we have to make sure that people hear it, and then we will come to a place close to you.
Okay, makes sense. So more news soon. So Fredrik, anything you like to say to the fans before we go today?
Yeah, I mean, no, I want to say something to you. I'm listening and watching your interviews. I love your concept, man. I'm so happy you invited me on board. I love the fact that you're doing it in your
In my couch.
I kind of did the same. Like this is our guest room, and I guess my little home getaway room. So I hope you were satisfied with the chilled guy in a chair in Norway.
Yeah, and yeah, the whole reason of this, sometimes interviews can be like they're so serious. This is
Yeah,
like a fun chat, and
yeah,
we're chatting
exactly.
here, talking about music and
Yeah,
everything. So yeah, it's been great talking to you, and I listened to the album. So it's for people who are looking for fun music like Chemical Brothers. I also thought of like what was the name of that influential band that they had there around the world? Oh my God, I forgot the name of the band.
or Daft Punk.
The Daft Punk, yeah, like
Yeah,
Daft
man.
Punk, Devo.
Yeah,
Like this is the type of music that you would enjoy. This is music. Uh, if you could put it and have fun with friends, it's danceable. It's music made to escape from shit. There's so many
yes,
negative music and like
yes,
sad music. You need some happy fucking music as well.
yes, you do. Yes, you do. You're absolutely right. So
It
yeah,
can't
you
be
said it.
sad or angry all the time.
We need a little bit of just positive energy too.
We do, especially with all the shit that happens in the world today. So,
Fuck
yeah,
yeah. Yes, yes. And I don't think anything is going to be much better in a bit of time. So you're going to need this album to get you through the year.
that's right. So, people, you heard it here. The new album by Datarock is out September 29th. You can pre-order that shit and just have fun with it. And plus, you'll be supporting. This is a do-it-yourself affair
This is
for
do it yourself. Yes, it
for
is.
Fredrik. So
Yeah.
you know that when you're doing it yourself, like it's with love. Like me, the Shield doing a couch production, it's me. It's only
Yeah.
one guy.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. So if you like the interview and the videos, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. That helps for people so I can keep interviewing people here and doing more fun videos for you guys. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.